Hello my friends, it is the 2nd of March 2015, Mr. Max Bliss in the southwest of France, and today the weather is very erratic. We've seen quite a few chemtrails, there's some there in the distance. We've seen electromagnetic frequencies, acoustic gravitational waves. What we are seeing is evidence of a covert climate engineering program on a huge scale. This is happening all around the world. And we can see frequency patterns in the sky, we can see stimulation of the atmosphere by techniques, by apparatus. And it's absolutely disgusting and repulsive that this program can be developed as far as it has been, and yet we have climate scientists denying that there's a wide-scale weather modification program. Well, you know what, that's admitted by the United Nations and the World Meteorological Organization. 42 nations are committed with full-time weather modification programs, plus there are many more with programs in development and not necessarily full-time. But what nobody talks about openly is the use of electromagnetic frequencies to stimulate and control the atmosphere. There are many documentations and research going back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and so on with respect to controlling the ionosphere from the outer reaches of space down to the surface of the Earth. We are talking about using techniques of radio waves, creating acoustic gravitational waves to affect weather modification. The scale of weather modification is so huge now, it's climate modification, as was intended. There are programs from the 60s, openly talked about from the National Science Foundation of America, programs for the control of weather and climate. You've got people like President JFK addressing the United Nations on the 25th of September 1961, stating that all nations will work together to accurately predict and eventually control the weather. Well, I tell you what, those programs just didn't go away because of the Environmental Modification Treaty of 1975 stretched over to 1977 until all the nations involved had signed this treaty. It just didn't go away because we had the NMOD treaty. No, what it did was just drive it out of the public domain for those scientists interested in weather and climate modification and control. It just pushed it underground, and from the mid-70s we had a switch. We had a switch from openly talking about melting the Arctic region to access the resources and to be able to open up the shipping lanes and to open up vast tracts of frozen land that's inaccessible. Those goals were openly talked about. But then with the Environmental Modification Treaty, because of the use of rainmaking technology for warfare during the Vietnam War, it was driven underground, so to speak. It had to be continued in a different fashion. It wasn't allowed to be openly discussed. Instead, it switched to the climate change. The big catalyst will justify weather and climate control because we'll hype up a threat where the climate looks like it's in danger. And what they can do with their long-term weather modification programs is affect the weather and climate in different areas. Not total control, but in different areas. And then they can create droughts, they can create storms, they can create floods, they can create what could be perceived to be weather extremes. And these weather extremes will be hyped up by the media, pushed by the climate scientists who are governed by funding. Their whole careers are in the hands of those who will fund them. Well, these climate scientists have been lying through their teeth. They have been altering temperature data. They have been homogenizing data. They have been skewing data. They have been misrepresenting the facts. But they have careers. They have an industry. They have trillions being spent on climate change. So you can see their motive. And the governments, why are they willing to con the masses? Because the governments are controlled by the bankers. They are controlled by the ruling oligarchy. They are not working for the people. And they want, and they agree to, a system of one world government. A system that is a totalitarian system, and it's being sold to the people under different names like Sustainable Development, Agenda 21, and the United Nations post-2015 agenda, amongst many other different names and sub-programs. And the idea is they're going to eradicate war, eradicate poverty, solve all our climate problems. And of course, a lot of this will sound very, very attractive because we've been worn down and browbeaten. All these problems that they want to solve, and there's a few more beside, are problems they've created and fanned over the decades to be a massive problem. But it's all perception management, my friends, and it's all a massive con. They just want a one world government system so they can have the right to put chips into us, microchips. And believe me, that is the program. They want to create transhumanism. They want the technology inside us to control us, to have an interface with our brains. Does that sound crazy and insane? A life where every single human being is hooked up to a matrix, an exascale supercomputer. Our brains. No, forget privacy. Privacy is an outdated, outmoded privilege they intend to remove forever. And this is government policies, not conjecture, not conspiracy theory. These are their plans to merge emerging technologies such as nanoscience, bioscience, information communication technologies and neuroscience, to merge it all with biodiversity. That's it, put that technology in life itself. For what purpose? Total monitoring, total control, behavior control. To be able to interface us with a computer at all times. And at one point in the future, they plan to be able to control our thoughts. It's been long speculated and planned. 1984, Big Brother. Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. They've been working at this for a very, very long time. And those climate scientists are helping bringing about this anthropogenic, the Anthropocene, where man controls everything and they intend to control all of mankind. This is the goal. This is why we need to wake up. This is a nightmare that's fast becoming a reality. Or should I say, the reality is being revealed. It is time to wake up, my friends, because these climate scientists are little more than puppets and criminals. They are really criminals. They are deceiving us. They are committing fraud. Why should they need to have homogenized data, altered data? Why should there be climate gates? Numerous accounts of responsible organisations like the UK Met Office, the Hadley Centre, the Ruskin University in Anglia, the NASA, NOAA, all guilty of fudging the data, altering the data, misrepresenting the data, and frightening the life out of people so that they'll accept this United Nations Climate Treaty, which is just the beginning of a legally binding program that will allow them to openly control the weather. They'll say they're doing it to protect us. But the thing is, they've been tweaking and learning to control the weather for 60, 70 years. Over 100 years it's been in development. So they're going to protect us from a faux situation. Our planet is a wonderful, self-balancing, self-regulating system that they should leave well alone. Stop spraying our atmosphere with nanoparticles. Stop zapping our atmosphere with electromagnetic frequencies. Harnessing the sun's energy when there's a solar flare. Tweaking it. Force multiplying. Owning the weather by 2025 means owning the world. Means controlling water and food supply. That's why it's going to be a blue gold rush, because it's a way to squeeze us all. It's time to wake up, my friends, and just look how quickly the skies change. See the frequencies there? It's not an alto cumulus, there's more there. It's disgraceful. We should have to witness this, and the so-called experts we've been demanded to rely on are liars. They are part of it. It's disgraceful. Time to wake up, my friends. It's time to take back our world from these thieving oligarchies, from these lying deceivers. Please do all your research. Depend on verifiable information and share as much knowledge as you can.